Welcome back to JNR Books. But before we begin, Jamie,
Yes?
what do you think is the toughest plant in the garden?
I don't know. What is it?
It's a tiger lily.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to be reviewing the book When You Trap a Tiger by Tay Keller.
So, that joke we just had there, what is the toughest plant in the garden, a tiger lily, is actually really clever. It was Ryan thought of this before the video. Because, actually, the protagonist of this book is called Lily. And the book describes her as being a tiger, like fierce, you know? So, that was really clever. But, anyways, yeah. We're gonna be reading the book When You Trap a Tiger by Tay Keller. So, Ryan, what do you think was some unique parts about the book?
Well, what I think is that's like kind of unique about the book is about like there are a lot of genres mixed into one. Like there's some sort of like aspects of fantasy as well as Korean culture and some sort of like aspects of like realistic fiction and like family identity and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's like it discusses a lot of things. It's juggling a lot of balls in the air and somehow manages to keep them up, and it just creates an incredible performance with all these balls juggling up in the air, you know? It's like sorry. It discusses it discusses feminism with the Korean woman generation and generation like being fierce as a tiger. It discusses LGBTQI plus with Lily's sister Sam being lesbian and dating Jensen, right?
Yeah, so it has a bunch of stuff in this book. What I think is very important to the book is the cultural perspective it has.
So like the Korean culture, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, personally being Korean, I think this is a very good representation of Korean culture. Like there's actually an iteration. Like in this book, it says that the Korean version of Once Upon a Time is long, long ago when tiger walked like man. But there's also versions such as long, long ago when tigers smoked cigarettes and stuff like that. It's it always has something to do with tigers, and then because I guess Korean people when in ancient times they feared tigers. Like tigers ate Korean people. Like if you met tigers while you're on a hill or a mountain, then you were good as dead, right? And thus came all these fairy tales and folk tales about tigers, and how there's a tiger who says, "If you give me a rice cake, then I won't eat you," but then it ends up eating all the person's rice cakes, and then it's still hungry, so it eats the person as well. So in Korean culture, it's tigers are depicted as these sneaky, like kind of strong creatures, but then at the same time, it's like Korean people view themselves as tigers, strong and fierce. It's like a the king of the animal kingdom, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, so like what you said about how Korean culture there's like a bunch of stories, right? This book does a really good job in like creating these stories that are some like interesting and that like it creates like an imaginative like world um that the main character can relate to.
So yeah, also I just like to point out the first line of the book, the first sentence. It's I can turn invisible. It's a superpower or at least a secret power. It's it just boggles the reader's mind in a way because it's so sudden that it's saying that, "Oh my gosh, I'm invisible," and the reader doesn't know it. Is this real? Is it a superhero story? Like what? But then it's a really nice sentence, the first sentence that just highlights the main character, Lily's introvertedness, and the book mentions it as a QAG, quiet Asian girl. So it's it does a really good job of highlighting Lily's personality traits at the very beginning.
Yeah. Uh, what's very interesting in this book is like how like all these characters they've like evolved throughout the story. Like, for example, the relationship with their grandmother, it got much more close, and then they could um have a better relationship.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, the family dynamic, it was interesting.
True, like in the end, it's like because like Lily confronts her fears and confronts the tiger throughout the entire story because of the fact that like she wants to save her grandmother. The tiger comes up to her and says, if you give me these star jars, if you give me these stories, then I will cure your grandma. And Lily, like deeply loving her grandma, she just like agrees despite being scared, and then just hears these stories like night after night. And then it's like the pieces are coming all together, like puzzles, like jigsaws and stuff.
hmm So not only does like Lily's family like get more close, I feel like Lily she discovered more things about herself, like the story of herself and how she is Korean but is in America and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like it says, like the because Lily actually, when her grandmother is dying, when she's passing away, in the end of the book, she tells a story to her grandmother, and then she says the last line of the story is that as they spoke, they filled the sky with stars. The sisters lit the world, and in the light, they found their way back home. In the light, they saw they were not alone. Right? It's like Lily had this kind of light illuminating her life suddenly, and then it's just like all her fears are kind of negated, kind of weakened in a way, and she's getting courage, right, through this process of like the tiger visiting her and stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'd like to talk about the ending now. Um it leaves the ending is kind of uh vague somehow. Like it gives us like the reader more things to for us to interpret. So rather than just tying everything up in a bow, it lets us interpret some stuff.
Yeah, it's like the last story. It's a very clear reference, of course, to Lily and her sister Sam, as well as her Harmony, and then it's like it's just really kind of strong. It hits the reader hard in a way.
Um, okay, so for the sake of it, I want to tell another joke.
Okay, sure, go ahead.
Okay, a good one is okay, what do you call a Christmas tiger that loves to dig in the desert?
I don't know. What do you call the Christmas tiger who digs up the ground?
You call it a Sandy Claus. Get it? Because like Santa Claus, and like Claus, Claw, like a tiger.
that that's actually really clever. Like Santa Claus, Sandy Claus. Okay, okay. Ryan's probably searching up tiger jokes right now on Google.
Yeah, shout out to littledayout.com.
Yes, the source of Ryan's tiger jokes.
Yeah, to go a little bit more in depth about the fantasy side of the story, it's very interesting, like how magic is implemented into this story.
Yeah, it's like magic is kind of like an illusion in a way, but not quite. It's like she describes her Harmony, her grandma, as someone who believes in invisible things such as love, magic, and spirit, right? Like they're all invisible, but then she's saying that like love exists, right? So she's saying that for Harmony, magic exists. So it's really interesting to kind of leave the reader with a vague feeling whether it's like whether Tiger was real or not. Though we like we can safely assume that the magic didn't actually exist, but it's like just this whole entire book is about the magic of storytelling, literally.
Okay, so I think that pretty much wraps it up about the story and how like unique it is. We really recommend you read this book. It's very, um, it's a really good story.
So yeah, themes about this book are like generally, folktale, storytelling, fantasy, family, friendship, love, like I said, juggling these balls in the air and creating an incredible performance out of it.
Hmm.
So yeah, thank you for watching Jane Our Books, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.